Another stakes day here on Saturday here in Maryland at Laurel Park. But Tim, we had a nice day yesterday that we're going to cover in a little bit. But let's take a look at the track really quick. A nice day outside. As you can see, Tim and I are outside here today, hitting in the mid 50s. Might tick up a little bit. Perfect day for a fast track today, Tim.
It's a beautiful day out. We've had a beautiful few days. Thanksgiving Day was great. Yesterday was a really, really nice day out here. Guys' day out yesterday. A lot of people. We had some World Cup soccer action going on, a lot of betting action going on. The guys, everyone was having a good time here yesterday at Laurel Park, and we hope it continues here this afternoon.
It was a wonderful turnout yesterday. So anybody who came yesterday, we hope you show up again today because we have a lot of wonderful racing here today on the stakes action day. But race number 1 starts the early pick 5 in this maiden claiming. That starts here in the first race. Low percentage takeout, 12% takeout, 50-cent minimum on that. But that starts in this first race in this maiden claiming 45, 5.5 going short on the dirt for the 2-year-old fillies. You and I both land on Gold Star for Dale Capuano. Carlos Lopez winning the stakes yesterday.
Yeah, look, you can't get around this one. Kenya,
Right.
a good debut on the turf where she showed some speed, going 5.5 furlongs, had to go to that second wire, just couldn't quite carry her speed all the way down there, but it's still a very, very positive effort. She gets on the main track this afternoon, and I think she'll be able to carry her speed from gate to wire.
Absolutely. We both have the 7 underneath as well. My sister Nancy, John Salzman, Javian Toledo combination. They're shortening up, and I think that's the biggest thing that's going to help this filly out today.
Well, yeah, and getting away from the gate. She didn't get away well in her last start. She found herself a little bit farther back than she typically is.
Right.
But she's been hanging around these races. She's been getting some good results. But she's getting Javian Toledo today, and I think that's a plus also.
It's also a plus as well. I think definitely he hasn't ridden from in quite a while. But Tim Tollett goes 4.736. I go 4.761 in that first race. Number 2 starts the early pick 4. And Tim, you've got our early 4 pick ticket today. How do you play it?
Yeah, I went deep here. You know, a little short on cash after Thanksgiving and whatnot. $9 ticket here. I'm going to start with the 3, the 4, the 6 in race 2. In race 3, I use the 4 and the 7. The 4 is a Brittany Russell first-time starter. But I threw in my price play of the day, 7. Timmy Keefe runner. Then I single on Our Lucky Man in race 4, and I go 3 deep in race 5, 5, 7, and 8. $9 ticket for the early pick 4.
That's a nice structured and nice price ticket to really get you started on that early pick 4, which starts with a claiming 5,000 going short on the dirt again for the 3-year-olds and up, and you land on the number 4 hard fought for Damon Deal DeVico. It's a very, I can see why it's kind of the easy go for.
Yeah, second off a little bit of a break this afternoon. Damon's pretty good. I got a little late in a return race, but there's races up and down his form that will win this race this afternoon, and I expect him to move forward and be better this afternoon.
Absolutely. Damon Deal DeVico, 12 for 37 second after the layoff as of late, so that's hitting at a 32% currently. I just wanted to get a little bit of a price at number 7 Spotted Bull because I felt like the 4 was an easy. That was low-hanging fruit. We get first off of a little bit of a layoff where Kieran is 18%.
He's 7-2.
Spotted Bull, the number 7.
No, the hard fought,
Right.
low-hanging fruit. He's 7-2. Oh, he's 8-5. Let's talk about Spotted Bull.
Compared to the rest of the field, Spotted Bull, I think, is fairly, again, needed the time off. We get a new one in the barn for Kieran McGee. So it's a combination of being well enough first after the layoff and first after the claim for Kieran McGee.
I mean, this 4-horse is capable of winning. He just gives himself so much to do all the time. He comes from pretty far back, but I've seen him do it and get it done here at Laurel Park also. But he'll be coming late for sure.
For sure. And you also go with the number 3, Tommy Shelby. Underneath, Jonathan Maldonado. Toledo gets the call on this one again. Do you think the shorter distance is going to help this guy today?
Well, I don't know if the shorter distance will help, but it won't hurt. He's getting a little bit of a drop. He's turning back to the 5.5. But I think it does help. Even though he's been okay on and off track, he gets back to a fast racetrack here this afternoon. 2 back over that fast racetrack. That was a lifetime best, or close to lifetime best in the Maryland Million Starter. That wasn't a bad race. He only got beat 5 lengths that day while running fourth. If he can run back to that a couple other races on the main track, he might be okay here this afternoon.
Tim Tullett going 4.365. I go 7.453. In the start of the early pick 4, race number 3 is our maiden special weight, going 6 furlongs for the 2-year-olds here. You land on the number 7, as you mentioned, the Tim Keefe on the outside, Captain Creed gets Javian Toledo and Javian doesn't ride a lot for Tim, but I can certainly see the attraction here.
Well, there's certainly a first indication that things might be pretty okay here, that Toledo is going to ride for Keith. Look, we know the race, if the 4 John Hall for firster for Brittany Russell shows up
Right.
as Brittany's horses do, they're all running for second. But if he doesn't, if something happens, he doesn't get away, blah, 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 all those sorts of things. Captain Creed is interesting. 3-1 on the line. Has not run since this past May at Gulfstream Park. First time out going 4.5 furlongs down there. Only got beat 6 lengths while running third. The winner of the race would come back and win again, was a runaway winner that particular day. Has been working well here at Laurel Park. A good work on November 6th, 48 and change. Another good work on November 14th, 5/8 mile, 101 and change, top third of the morning works that particular day. So I'm going to give Captain Creed a little shot. We know the race is going through. The 4 John Hall, first time starter, will make the rider there. Virgo Lynch. Look, this has been working very, very well with a solid work tab out of a stakes-winning mare who won in debut.
Right.
So there's a lot going on there. We know Brittany's very, very good with those firsters.
Exactly, especially at the first-time start in those maiden special weights as well. But I like your stab at the numbers at Captain Creed. Jimmy Creed's 20% with his second-time starters, so that certainly helps things out a little bit. You go with the rail horse underneath on the inside. Quick wet for Michael Trombetta, Johan Rosado on the rail. A first-time starter on the rail, but a nice gate work on November 1st up at Fair Hill, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, after my first top picks, I was kind of looking around. But this is out of a mare who just got beat a nose in debut, and she won her second start. The works have been decent. As you mentioned, a good gate work November 1st. 48 and 3, and then comes back with a good pole, a work for the pole, 5/8 mile, 101 and 2. Inside draw, but we talked about it before here at the Laurel. Bruce Wagner gives these horses a lot of room down toward the inside. So you can afford to make a little bit of a mistake here at Laurel and still not get pushed and pinned up against the fence. So
I like that underneath as well. So I also go with El Fuego Masa Brillante. Mark Schumann, he had a nice second-time starter win last weekend. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll along with that barn for the time being, especially with the blinkers on. But Tim Tulloch, we also go with the number 6 underneath. Let's talk about the other Mike Trombetta runner, Snack, with Charlie Marquez on top. Twirling Candy with his first-time starter. So this is a little bit of a promising, gets a horse on the outside.
Yeah, has some good works. Has not worked 5/8 of a mile since October 22nd. Just come back with 3 consecutive half miles and a 3/8 coming into this. Out of the stakes winning mare, Plum. I remember her around this area. But sure. Like I said, after, at least after Brittany's horse and for me, Keith's horse, I was kind of just moving around a little bit.
Moving around
why not take?
A little bit. Tim Tulloch, 7-4-1-6, and I go 4-3-6-7. Race number 4 starts the middle pick 4. Keith Feastel lined up a ticket for us, and this is how he plays it. He goes 1, 2, 3 here on near the rail in this allowance effort. Race number 5 in that claiming 16 never win 2. He goes 4 wide, and why not in that race? Absolutely, he goes 1, 4, 7, 8. I have the same type of horses in a different mix, so we'll see how Keith plays that out. Race number 6 in the safely kept. He goes 4 wide, and that's a wide open affair. We'll get into that in a little bit, and then he singles in on Radical Right in race number 7, and why not? That horse is probably going to give a repeat performance. A $24 ticket to start the middle pick for Tim, and that starts here in this allowance, going 1 mile and 16th on the dirt. You land on the number 1. Excuse me, sorry guys. We do have, it's also the start of the Rainbow Pick 6. Carryover, obviously, 6,573. That's going to take up by the time we get there. And let's get into my ticket. I completely forgot about my ticket, but I go a bit more condensed. I go a bit more conservative in these races 4 or 5. Of course, I single in on Radical Right as well. I see race number 6 being the exact same, going super wide in that. Race number 8, I think that's where you could scrape down a little bit in the Richard Small Stakes, but I just go wide just for a little bit of security. And then race 9 in that maiden event, I think that's a little bit of a wide open affair. I go 3, 6, 7. That is a $60 ticket for the Rainbow Pick 6. That also starts in race number 4 in this allowance, 1 mile and 16th event. Tim, we've got a video on your top pick. Our lucky man for Claudio Gonzalez, JD Acosta, was on the inside post last time out.
Yeah, this is a really, really good race from our lucky man. As you see, he's going to come up. He comes up the inside. Yes,
Yep.
he makes a really, really good rail run. Here he is. He is coming up the fence. He's going to get through here in just a second or two. The 2-horse, red colors. There he goes. He's going to drop down to the rail. Comes with a really, really, really good sustained run. This was a 1-turn mile. This was a big race. Now, there's a horse all the way on the outside. Do you recognize him? That's Sesh. Sesh won yesterday in a big race. So won a starter allowance easily. Magic Mule in between them. But I thought this was a really, really good race from our lucky man. We stretch out back to 2 turns this afternoon, and I think that's going to help him, and also getting back on to a fast track. And he's got races up and down his form for Monmouth, even that race 2 back. Even his last race wasn't a bad race. He only got beat 6 lengths from winning second at this level. So I'm going with our lucky man, my single on my early pick 4.
I like that. I have him just underneath. I go with the number 3, Nostalgic Ron, who you have under in your exacta. Carlos Mencia. Angel Cruz takes the call on this one. And this one is just in really good form, and you just got to roll with a horse that's in good form sometimes. Getting better in numbers, Tim.
And Mencia got a nice win yesterday. This is second off the break. First off the break was a big race for Nostalgic Run. Carlos Mencia's horses, when they come off breaks, usually take 1 or 2 races to get going.
Right.
Lately, I've noticed that a few of them have been running pretty well off those layoffs. Here's another one. It's had a sharp work since that last race. There's no doubt in my mind that Angel Cruz is going to put this one right up on the engine and try to take him gate to wire.
Exactly where this horse likes to win from. In those 2 wins that he's had, both a mile and an eighth and a 1 mile at Penn, just in that forward front running position, gets confident, needs a confident go. And I think that first off of the layoff was just a really good setup for what's about to happen, to set up for this allowance effort here. We both go with the 5 underneath. We see this race pretty similarly. Golden Gully for Gary Capuano. J-Ron Barbosa gets the call, maybe sitting patient and sitting smart to get the notch on win on this one.
Yeah, gonna have to get better. I mean, he's been good since returning to the races in July, but by the figures are a little soft. He's going to have to run a bit faster. Ran behind to Shoot the Messenger, who would come back yesterday in a 5K starter and get his head caved in. He got beat 14 lengths. So I'm a little suspect of Golden Gully here this afternoon, but I certainly should be able to get a little piece of it.
I mean, it makes the selling of the number 2 Shofar really well for Jamie Ness and Jaime Rodriguez. They've been on a roll in the past couple of days, because I'm looking at this horse's form, and this horse can really run from anywhere, Tim, so I don't have much of an excuse other than being on the muddy surface last time out at Delaware.
Well, if he can run back to that May race at Parks, that makes him very, very competitive. He won 3 in a row earlier this year. 1 on a fast track, 1 on a good turf, and 1 on a wet fast track going a mile and a half. So this horse can run some big races. He just hasn't brought them lately. Maybe he can bring one today.
Right, maybe he can do that again today. Jamie Ness has been doing a little bit better from that Delaware to Laurel circuit as of late, so he's a bit cool on that. Now he's starting to warm up a little bit, so we'll see maybe a little bit of that. But Tim and I go, and we pretty much agree. He goes 1-3-5-2. I go 3-1-5-2 here in the 4th and the start of the middle pick 4 and the rainbow pick 6. Race number 5 starts the late pick 5 in this claiming 16, never win 2, going 6 furlongs here on the dirt. And we're going to take a look. We have a video spotlight on your top selection, Tim. The number 7, Superstitious for Kenny Cox and Javian Toledo.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't get away that bad here this day, but just a little slow. He's last out of there. He could have broken a little bit better. He typically does break a little bit better, but it just put him in a spot where he was going to have to come through some traffic. And what happens when you have to come through some traffic? Sometimes you can't get through, and we're going to pick that up as they go through to the 3/8 pole, and Javian Toledo has to tap the brakes a little bit. I guess we didn't cut and go, so we'll just watch the whole backside. But here we go. It's coming up right here, where Javian's going to have to say whoa, whoa, whoa a couple times. It won't take long. Here it comes. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's just enough. Sometimes you get in a horse's way a little bit, and he tries on down to the wire. And what you don't see is earlier in the stretch, he kind of got a little shuffled around there at the top of the stretch. We picked this up. He continues okay to the wire. I think he gets better here. His best race is on his form work right here. You got to remember, he was a favorite in that last race. He took a lot of money, so I think he can come back at this level, first time off the claim for Kenny Cox, and have no problem.
He did. I mean, he did. He just is the type, especially at this, since he's at this $16,000 level, that he just kind of needs a little, not quite a little bit of help, but he's one of those that clearly needs a clear space, a clear view into really getting things going. If you look back to before he broke his maiden, he was off slow. He had a bit of a wide trip, but then the next time out when he did break his maiden at the 32 level at Delaware, all systems go. That horse was in the lead. He didn't have anything going against him today. I just go with the number 4, Katie's Notion. I'm ticking along with that Carlos Mencia, Johan Rosado clip. Again, as you mentioned, we're third off of the layoff, where on paper, Carlos Mencia, he's 2 for 15 right now, and then 7 for 15, third after the layoff. So this is a barn that I'm just going to go ahead with that trend a little bit. Just didn't really need to be in that allowance last time out.
Yeah, maybe. But this is a good spot. Broke his maiden for maiden 45. I wish he'd had run a little bit faster over fast main tracks.
Right.
And that race was over a sloppy track. But if he comes back with that race from October 2nd, they're all running for second.
Absolutely. How about Addie's Laddie TNT? You have underneath for Henry Walters and Carlos Lopez. Just didn't work out on the turf last time out, clearly.
Yeah, no. Why? Well, yeah. He ran a good sprinting on the dirt in August, good sprinting 2 back when it was a winner on the dirt in October. So let's put him on the turf. Okay. So let's get back to the maiden, the 2 lifetime 16 on the dirt. This is going to make a whole bunch of difference for Addie's Laddie TNT. The 8, Sunday Mischief.
Yep.
Beware. There's not a lot of speed in this race. This horse breaks from the outside. He's been running on the turf, but showing speed. But go back on his form, and you're going to see a runner who broke his maiden while getting to an easy lead. No other speed. He's going to be firing out of there, and he could take this field a very long way.
I like that outlook of that as well. I saw what you saw. We also respect Hamden Lane just underneath to get a piece of it here for Nancy Heil and Bryson Butterfly in this event. But race number 6 starts our stakes action here in the Safely Kept. But before we get into that, we're going to take a quick commercial break and talk about these stakes races here today.
We're ready for the start. They're off.
Now we're here. We're back here to talk about the Safely Kept Stakes, and what a competitive field, but a big field. It's a big field, but we end up landing similarly. I like the faith in Vibrant Judy on top, especially with that outside post him for Brittany Russell and Sheldon Russell.
Well, the whole complexion for this race changed when Last Leaf scratched this morning.
Right.
I had that one on top for Eddie Keneally. But I had a Vibrant Judy in the exacta, so I moved her right up. I mean, she's stepping up to stakes competition for the first time in her career. She's coming off 3 very good races, which include 2 wins and a lifetime best in her last start. She's had 2 bullet works since that last race, going to get Javion Toledo this afternoon. But this is the time to try a stake. You only have so many races to win a stake as a 3-year-old, and Brittany knows she's running out of time. The filly's in good form. Let's take a shot and try to get a little black type with this one.
Might as well, especially since breaking your mating over this distance and the Safely Kept going the 7 furlongs here today. Let's talk about the number 8, who we both have underneath, Divine Huntress. You have to respect Grand Motion, Angel Suarez. When these two team up, they team up well. That's an added bonus to the fact that I just don't think this filly liked Charlestown last time out.
Well, yeah, I mean, that could certainly happen. That's 7/8 of a mile. That's a 2-turn 7/8 of a mile. But look, she won the Miss Disco here, and she was life and death to do it. No doubt about it. She
Right.
was all the way on the outside, and she did get up over Sweet Gracie, who would come back and win again. But the races, and she ran a big number that day. She ran an 80 by her speed figure. But the 4 races before that, she was tangling with graded company and running quite well. Second
Right.
in the Grade 1 Acorn. She was 4th, only beating 5 lengths in the Black Eyed Susan. So yeah, this is a filly that can run. Comes in here with some good works for Grand Motion and gets that 7/8 of a mile again.
Especially on the outside. Near the outside, she's going to have horses on her outside, but definitely helps with her underneath. Let's talk about who you have underneath with the 4, who I land as my value play. Keith Fustel also has this one on, as a value play on top as well. Bazinga C for Tim Kreiser and Ricardo Chappie coming in to ride.
Yeah, third off of a break today with a lifetime best in her most recent start up there at Penn National. Timmy Kreiser, he's very, very capable of coming in here. You might know a horse named Kalosaurus. He was a conditioner of it. She's a runner, so it doesn't bother me when he comes in here with one that looks like they can run. A couple works up there. Penn National, as always, Timmy Kreiser works these horses. They're sharp works. They're not hang around works. And so, yeah, take a shot with Bazinga C, no doubt about that.
Absolutely. Bazinga, Tim Kreiser, 9 for 30, third after the layoff as of late. And then whenever Tim Kreiser brings something to Laurel, he tends to show up 10 for 21, either first or second in that group, coming here with all of his shippers as of lately coming to Laurel Park. So for 8-1, I'll absolutely take a stab at Bazinga C. The number 11, November Rain, Kelly Breen, the jockey, J-Ron Barbosa gets the call on this one. Could take the lead, could sit off of it. What are you thinking as far as where this one is going to be placed, Tim?
Yeah, she's going to be well placed. I mean, she's not going to be too far out of it. 6.5 furlongs in her most recent start up there at Aqueduct. She laid 2-3 out of it. You know, she's just like a box of chocolates, so you just never know what you're going to get when you get her.
Right.
And she's good, like she was in her last race. She'll run a big figure and win the race. But she'll throw you, she was a test. It was a grade 1, Saratoga. Okay, that's fine. But she's got a couple other races down there where she didn't quite show up. But when she's in amongst her friends, and these might be close enough to her friends.
I would have to agree.
I mean, that was a state-bred race in New York, and it's
right.
It's always easy to run a big number against a softer group, but this could be a lateral move. But yeah, if she shows up, she's part of it.
If she shows up, I think a lot of fillies are going to be showing up here. First eighth of a mile is going to be really telling here in the safely kept stake. Tim Tulloch goes with Brittany Russell in the 13, 8, 4, 11, and I go 4, 8, 11, 13. City of Laurel Stakes, same distance, 7 furlongs, this time for the 3-year-olds. Let's go ahead and take a look at the one that we all have chosen on top. Radical Right for Dale Capuano. Jeremy Rose gets the call yet again today.
Yeah, look, this was a big race from Radical Right here at Laurel Park. Had just finished second at a race at Delaware the time before, but he got down and dirty here. He tried really, really hard all the way to the wire. The horse on the inside was giving him nothing. He took everything from that horse on the inside. I thought that was a big race. Big speed figure, 94 Beyer speed figure, stretches out to 7/8 of a mile this afternoon. We saw Dale do that yesterday, was always in a hurry, stretching out to 7/8 for the first time. That's not going to be an issue, but this horse is right at the right time, and it's right now, 2 back-to-back lifetime best races.
Yeah, well, that's what, and I think we're going to see a continuation of that here in the city of Laurel. But let's talk about what we can play for underneath. Who are we playing for second? And you go with the number 6 just on the outside. Undercover Kitty for Cal Lynch and Frankie Pennington. I love this pick for your exacta pick, Tim.
Yeah, I think this horse could be very dangerous here this afternoon. He's turning back for Cal Lynch. He's about 32% off a bad effort on the slop going 1 1/8. That didn't work, but the 3 previous races were all very good. Ran second behind Van Scholars in the Bald Eagle, won a first level allowance race up there at Delaware Park, and won a state-bred race at Parks. Now we're turning back to 7/8 of a mile. We got a few works since then, 4 works since then. Cal's good off this type of layoff. So yeah, I mean, I think Undercover Kitty could be formidable here this afternoon.
Just on the distance alone, this is the first time this gelding is trying the 7 furlong distance, and I just think it sets up really, really well for this guy to be placed wherever he wants. He seems to be kind of somewhat of a push button go. But let's talk about who you have underneath as well. But beyond that, the number 11 Nips class, Bruce Crevettes, Angel Rodriguez takes the call for this one, and they teamed up for a win at Penn National. Do you think this one is going to be able to step up and hang with this group today?
By the numbers, absolutely. Just go back to this spring. This is a horse who won 3 in a row, 3 in a row earlier this year up at Penn National. He's firing mid-80 Beyers. He comes down here going 7/8 of a mile in the concern. He runs second. best buyer speed figure of his career here at Laurel Park. He's coming off a nice win with a good figure up there and a 2 other than at Penn National. 2 sharp works since then. And this is another guy, Bruce Kravitz. You just don't sleep on when you're talking about guys that come from Penn National. I mean, clearly Kravitz, clearly. Mr. Who?
Kreiser.
Mr. Kreiser, yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Kreiser. So you don't sleep on these guys.
Don't sleep just because they're coming from Penn National. Do not sleep on them. You also include, I'm glad you did, in Al Loves Josie for Jerry Robb, Xavier Perez. Just a really bomb race last time out. So hopefully they can carry that confidence in Al Loves Josie just to stretch it out to the 7 furlongs today.
Yeah, last 2 going back in the right direction. And this is a horse that can run a little bit. I just got to, in this race, with the rest of the field, I got to say, well, who's got the advantage over the rest of the field after my top picks? And I thought Alice Josie has a certain home field advantage. All 4 of his wins come here. 4 for 11, 2 seconds and 2/3. So likes Laurel Park.
Absolutely. And in the city of Laurel, Tim goes 5, 6, 11, 7, and I go 5, 3, 11, 6, leaving both of those Penn National, Kreiser and Kravitz up here in my picks. Race number 8 is the Richard Small Stakes, going 1 mile and an eighth here on the dirt here at Laurel Park. Let's go ahead and click to that video on the horse that's on the rail, Our Nation on Parade, winning the Maryland Million Classic, coming back for a little bit of vengeance today.
Yeah, vengeance.
Not vengeance,
this was a huge race. I mean, look, this horse, he just cruises right on up there. This was first off the claim for Jamie Ness. They gave $50,000 for this runner down at Churchill Downs. He had already won the Maryland Million Juvenile a few years ago. This was his 4th win in a row, and he just puts away a pretty good Maryland Million. Now, the Maryland Million Classic over the past few years has been a little soft. There's no doubt about it. This wasn't one of them. This was a tough race. You had 2 defending champions. You had Vance Scholar. You had the Poser. And he puts these horses away like right now. Pose for the picture. There you have it. I think it's going to be very, very tough. 3 strong works. 2 sharp works since that last race. Jaime Rodriguez returns for Jamie Ness. And and we know this. Horses get in the Ness barn, and they get better.
Second after the claim.
Second, third, fourth, fifth, it doesn't matter. They just get better.
They just get better. Exactly. You have Jamie Ness second off of the claim. So here we go. Let's see what Jamie Ness can get out of Our Nation on Parade. But number 3, I switched up my picks. I actually do have that number 3 underneath as well. American Doro, Ricky Silliman, Laurel Glazer. I agree with you. If there's anything that's going to give Our Nation on Parade a challenge, it's going to be this horse who's just been showing a tremendous form ever since returning to the dirt.
Yeah, this horse has been very good over his last 2 races. The race over the slop going 1 mile and eighth wasn't a fluke. He backed that up with the same number, 93, in his next start in that 3rd level allowance race on November 4th. With, as we talked about, good, strong numbers. You're getting Laurel Glazer. We know Laura Lee and Ricky Silliman. They had another winner yesterday. So this horse certainly is in the conversation this afternoon.
Absolutely. You also go with the number 7, Armando R for Damon Deal Duvico, Horacio Caramanos. This one just won the Japan Turf Cup last time out, going 10 furlongs, was entered back on Thanksgiving, re-entered to opt to come here today. So I like this horse for 6-1 underneath Tim.
Well, it shows a little bit of confidence coming out of that allowance race to go in the stake here. The 5 Riding with Biden did scratch. That was a big scratch. Ran the day before yesterday up there at Parks and got the win that day. But Armando R. be 3rd off of layoff this afternoon. His best races are good enough. Certainly by the figures. You go back to the spring, he fired a 94, going 1 mile and 16th. His most recent race was the 2nd off of a layoff in the Japan Cup. That was a big race there, beating Vance Scholar that particular day. So yeah, Armando R. Certainly needs his best, but if he brings his best, he's going to be all right.
He's going to be all right in this field. And what about Cordmaker? We both love Cordmaker, but after that performance last time out, I'm thinking the same thing as you clearly, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, look, his best race wins this, right?
Right.
Sure, he's got to bring his best race, but you can't feel overly confident going off his last race, which was a return race. Going that 1-turn mile is tough, but let's not mince words. That was ugly. I mean, he was 5'6" wide. He was just swimming down down the stretch. He's had a sharp work since that last race. He's trying to gain millionaire status here this afternoon, and
Sure.
I'm rooting for him.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, but boy, you've got to stop and pause off that most recent
Same.
effort. And I've talked about other people. His training regimen's a little different than it used to be. I watch him train every day. He's got a new rider in the morning. Things have changed for him. So we'll have to see how it goes.
We'll have to see if it works, if it's been working, if it matches up. Sure.
I mean, look, it's best race gets this done. Period.
Period. Yes, absolutely. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. It said could be an interesting last quarter of a mile there in the Richard Small Stakes. And let's talk about our nightcap. Our maiden claiming 30, going 5.5 on the dirt for the 3, 4, and 5-year-old girls. You land on the number 7 Backstreet Affair on the outside for Kieran McGee. Jaron Barbosa, obvious horse to go for in this race. Definitely.
You got to go for the new blood in town and making her Maryland debut, first time with Kieran McGee, 26%. Look, the races out from California, they work here, for sure. Does have to get away from the gate. I noticed a few races, 4 versus 7 race, 6 races. She has not gotten away well, but I don't think it's an issue here. She probably can get away okay and still handle this field.
Kieran actually had a horse that he did get from Keeneland by whether it was by claim or just by shifting of owners, but it was won recently about 2 weeks back, and that horse was a winner, so that's certainly encouraging. With your comment of needing to get out of the gate a little bit more, going 5.5, I just want to take a little bit of a wait and see approach, so I go for a little bit of a price that you have underneath, all worked up for Ricky Silliman, Javian Toledo. I know Keith Fustel has a daily double in races 8 and 9 for Silliman, so this one just coming back down to a better level.
No doubt about that. Working well for the return. You look at those races between January and March of this year. All good efforts, including a good second place finish on January 23rd. But comes in here with two sharp works.
Crone, number 6. We both have that horse in our exacta. Mark Schumann, blinkers on. Carol Cedeno. This combination worked pretty well for them about 2 weeks back.
It did. This is the second start for Schumann, 25%. He had that winner the other day. We talked about a horse earlier on the card that's making their second start of work sense and adding the blinkers.
Absolutely. Let's hand over. That's our talk for all the big stakes action that we have going on, along with the rest of our very, very nice fields that we have here for today. But let's talk about a couple other points here in the lightning round. Just a recap of what happened yesterday. Let's take a look at Always in a Hurry right now. Dale was looking for the 7 furlong spot in the horse, and we were kind of backsassing that a little bit before this race happened.
Yeah, it wasn't so much backsassing. It's just you see these closing sprinters who are good closing sprinters going 5.5 and 3/4 of a mile. And 7 Ace is this kind of elongated sprint. Sometimes they don't come with that punch, but here's the gorilla. Here's the beast.
Yeah.
Here's Fille d'Esprit. She just does it again. They were running for second, probably 30 yards into the race. She was well positioned early, and Xavier Perez, as he gets her home, that was her 12th lifetime win. She is just simply a runner.
Simply a runner. Just talking about, so we have some stakes action yesterday, have some stakes action today. Let's talk about next weekend where we have more stakes action in the Holiday Stakes Carnival. We just wanted to talk about a couple of the nominees that are coming up in the Maryland Juvenile specifically. So these are for Maryland sired and bred horses. In the Maryland Juvenile, we have a matchup between Johnny Z from Albany, Post Time, Heldish, but I'm really excited to see what happens between Johnny Z from Albany and Post Time, Tim.
Yeah, Johnny Z's from Albany is a proven stakes winner right now. Post Time is the young kid coming up through the ranks, undefeated in 2 starts, and they were good-looking races. I still don't think he knows what he's doing out there, but he's gonna start to figure it out.
He's known to have a personality as a bit of a jughead, so we'll see what he does with the better competition. And the juvenile fillies, really, so we have Chickiness and Skylar's Sister, but then we also have Basarati and Synergy Star. But I think it's going to be in between Chickiness and Skylar's Sister for next weekend, Tim.
Yeah, Bossiness came back and ran a little bit better than I thought she would after winning the Maryland Million. But we'll see how that shakes. That race is a little bit more wide open for me, but we'll look at that when it comes around.
Let's talk about Keith Fustel's best bet and value plays that he has for us. So race number 7, Radical Right, you and I both have this horse on top, Tim, Dale Capuano. We just think this horse is going to be coming to another bomb effort that we're going to be seeing there in the city of Laurel. And his value plays are starting in race number 6, Bazinga C for Tim Kreiser, coming in the safely kept. That's a competitive field. That's going to be a really competitive race amongst those girls. Again, we talked about Tim Kreiser coming in, always coming in with a bit of a wallop. Tim.
Yeah, no, and that horse fits in that race, and we'll see how that goes. But you have to respect those horses coming from Penn National. But Keith and I really flunked on our value plays yesterday. We had the same horse, and it didn't show up.
Well, today's a new day, so here we go. And then his other value play, just to back up in case this value play doesn't work, is in race number 8 in the Richard Small Stakes. Laurel Glazer, Ricky Silliman, American d'Oro, looking for another bomb effort that we saw 2 races in a row, Tim. And we
yeah, he's going to have to come back with that race, no doubt about it. He's going to need those 2 races to win today.
Absolutely. So we'll check in with Dave Rodman for some more changes and scratches, and we will see you guys in the first race.